So this being said, I would like to invite for the first and traditional keynote the founder and principal analyst of KuppingerCole, Martin Kuppinger.
Thank you, Safar.
So, Martin, how old is KuppingerCole now?
Oh, it's more than 10 years. I think 12 years, close to 12 years right now.
12 years already, right? So, and there've been massive changes in that time, right? So, how did KuppingerCole see the changes in the last 10 to 12 years? So, where were the biggest changes that we've seen?
Oh, I think the clearly biggest change overall is that a lot of the things we are looking at moved from administrative topics towards more to the business topics. And I tend to tell the people, when I go back some 5 years or 7 years, it took me 5 minutes to explain what I'm doing.
Okay.
Identity, access, security. Right now it takes me 10 seconds, 20 seconds or something like that, because everyone is aware of identity. Everyone is aware of the security issues. So I think this is really a fundamental change.
Okay. Do you see any new topics around the corner?
Oh, I think overall, you know, when I look at what we're doing, we started in the identity access management field. Right now we are looking at all of information security and branching out in related areas. So I think all the transformation stuff is related to security. It has to do a lot with security, not only, but there's a lot of security. But even within information security, we see really this shift from preventing towards getting better in detecting, real-time detection, and responding, rapidly responding on what is happening. So I think this is one of the fundamental changes, together with the ever-growing threat landscape we are facing.
Okay, so basically the information security arena is maturing in some sense. So we're moving away from just doing something and hope that doesn't happen towards actually knowing what's happening and taking the right action. Did KuppingerCole, yes. Hopefully, indeed. Did KuppingerCole adapt with its scope? So has KuppingerCole as an organization having new offerings in that area?
Yes, I think this is what really gradually changed over time. So, for instance, around mid of this year, we will publish a leadership compass on the real-time security intelligence market, this emerging market, which is about managed real-time security services and that type of stuff. So really moving forward. And so we will more and more do things in that area. We just are in the progress of publishing a report on SCADA. We did things on real-time security intelligence, on the IoT, on the digital transformation. So we're broadening this. And we're also bringing in some other services which really should help customers to mitigate their risk, to better tackle the challenges they are facing.
Great. So you're going to give us a glimpse of that, right, in the keynote, specifically, if I got it right, on Internet of Things and the Digitalisierung, how we say in German.
Yeah. It's very much about what we need to do, and as the title indicates, digital transformation, and what is it about digital risk mitigation in the age of transformation? Because I think this is really one of the most challenging things. And when I go back to my keynote last year, I already touched this area, and I said, you know, most likely something will go really wrong in that space over the next few years. And I still believe that something will go really wrong. And what we really have to do is to understand what we need to do to mitigate a risk. And identity, access, security are very fundamental things in this business transformation to not fail when doing this shift.
Okay, understood. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sasha. Okay, welcome also from my side to all of the attendees. As I already said, I will talk about digital transformation, the new role of identity, access, and security. It's not only about identity access security, it's really a little bit broader. And I put together some 8 fundamentals for digital risk mitigation in the age of transformation. So there's an abstract. I will jump directly to the next slide. My first fundamental is the digital transformation affects every organization. So there's virtually no organization which isn't affected. We have the smart watches. So we see a lot of organizations or companies trying to invent smart things. We have the connected vehicles, which fundamentally affect the automotive industry. Probably the biggest change this industry has seen since the introduction of the automobile. We see the smart homes affecting a lot of different industries. So from the fridge to the utilities to whatever else, a lot of industries are affected by smart homes. Smart grids, again, the utility industry, which is changing fundamentally. E-books, if you look at all the publishers and so on, this already has changed. There are different business models, there are different distribution channels. Authors start writing books without a traditional publisher, directly publishing them as an e-book, whatever else. Digital music, I think few industries have gone such fundamental change as the music industry. In many countries, there's far more music downloaded than sold in traditional formats. We have online retail, also one of the areas where we have seen a massive change over the last few years. Online payment affecting the finance industry, new players in that field, Apple, PayPal, whomever else. Manufacturing, so that's something I will talk a little bit more later. If you look at all this talk about, in Germany we call it Industry 4.0, so smart manufacturing, connected production, whatever else, it's affecting very traditional industries, and it's a major change. And I think it's very important for any organization to understand that there is a fundamental change going on, and that we have to think about what is the new role, the new business model, etc. of any organization. And this is also another phenomenon which is here and will be away in 1 or 2 years. It's here to stay. I think this is another very important thing to understand. And when we go back to history, there have been so many quotes around, oh, this will just a passing phenomenon. No, so Kaiser Wilhelm II from Germany believed in the horse and said the automobile is just a passing phenomenon. He was wrong. And there are still also no Kaisers anymore here. Ken Olsen of DEC said there's no reason, in 1977 he said there's no reason anyone would want a computer in their home. Okay. Charlie Chaplin, the cinema is little more than a fad. What audiences really want to see is flesh and blood on stage. Yeah, the cinema is still here. Oh, theaters are as well. But clearly, the movie industry is quite big. Daryl Zanuck of 20th Century Fox in 1946 said, television won't be able to hold on to any market it captures after the first 6 months. In fact, people will get bored by TV, etc. I think most of us have a TV at home these days, and probably for many, many years now. The Variety magazine said on rock and roll in 1955, it will be gone by June. I think they thought about June 55 and not whatever June will come at some point of time. Sir William Preece of the British Post Office said, the Americans have a need of the telephone, but we do not. We have plenty of messenger boys. And again, I started with the Kaiser, I end with the Kaiser. So Kaiser Wilhelm I, before Wilhelm II, said, no one will pay good money to get from Berlin to Potsdam by train, which is a 20-kilometer distance or something like this, in 1 hour by train when he can ride his horse there in 1 day for free. maybe we need horses these days, given that the German Bahn has another strike. But overall, I think there is a good reason for having trains and for acceptance of trains. So I think we shouldn't be the next ones in that list saying the digital transformation will be history in a few months or years. No, it will not. It is here to stay. It's inexorable, it's ubiquitous in its change, and it's changing a lot of things. It is affecting our products. So products are changing, we have different products. Services, a lot of industries will see that they earn more money with services in future than with the physical products. And a lot of industries, not necessarily related to the transformation, but a lot of industries already have undergone that change. So if you just look at printers and other things, in some areas, the add-ons are more valuable than the machine, and we will see other things where services are more valuable than the product itself. And we have to think about what are the services we sell? What is our business model, which in fact means, yes, our business models will change. Our organizations have to change. When we are selling services, when we have different business models, we need a different organization. We need organizational change. This is quite tough to change an organization, and that will be the real challenging part, aside of inventing products and services that sell well. We will need a different ecosystem in organizations. So who is the one who we're partnering with? Who sells our services, our products? All these things are subject to change. Another, I think, important aspect is digital transformation is more than just the Internet of Things. So sometimes it's quite related when we look at what is currently discussed and happening. So digital transformation is quite related in many publications and many things we hear to the Internet of Things. It's far more than that. And I've split this fundamental into four sort of sub-fundamentals or building blocks. Probably when we talk about fundamentals, building blocks might be a quite good term. So the first one is it's already a reality in many industries without any connected things. If you look at, okay, you could argue in music, the music industry, you have a smartphone and other devices, but it's not that they're primarily selling things, but music in a digital format. If you look at ebooks, you can read them without an ebook reader. So it's not about the connected thing. It's about the new delivery model, the new format, the new product, the new services around this. So it's not only the Internet of Things. The other thing is that when we look at Industry 4.0 or the smart manufacturing, this is about connecting manufacturing environments and its operational technology. So this type of IT we commonly find in the manufacturing area with industrial control system, Stone Age bus systems, and a lot of other quite antique technology sometimes also more modern, but frequently quite antique technology. And if we want to put it into the IoT box, it would be very big things we are talking about here. So in the production lines, there are sometimes quite big things we would find. So I wouldn't put this into the IoT box. But it's about transformation. So transformation is far bigger than the IoT. And the other thing we shouldn't forget is we still need the right business model and the right services to succeed. It's not about having things for the sake of things or whatever. It's about understanding what can be the business, what are the consumers and customers interested in, what is the real value we have. And as with any fundamental change, we also will see some great failures in that area, things which just disappear, which is, I think, quite normal. So over time, we have some learning curves, And some things might reappear in different format later on, become successful, start disappearing again or changing its format, etc. So I had a tablet PC, I think, more than 10 years ago. It took a little while until we have tablets and touch screens as a standard, which is more and more common today. And there was some period where we didn't have much around that. So again, we need to understand what is the business model, why do we do it? This is really the point behind this. And I also think that in many cases, I expect that in many cases, the main revenue stream will not be from selling the thing, I touched this before, but from selling additional services, which is also quite challenging. And particularly in our industry, I think a lot of you, the ones working at vendors, already are facing such type of change, which is not around changing from things to services or whatever, physical products to services, but from on-premise software licenses you have been sold for many years to cloud services, where you have a subscription-based model, which is also sort of that type of change. And we all know that it has been scary for most organizations at the beginning, saying, okay, I earn so much by shipping boxes, and right now I should rely on a subscription model. Will that work? What does it mean for us? And the same we will see in many, many other industries. And there can be success, and there will be failure. The really important thing is that you understand what do you need to change in your organization. What is your business model? What do you sell? How must your organization look like? So there is no success without the adequate organization. Digital transformation mandates organizational change. So no success without agility, particularly. Agility is a key thing. The markets are getting faster. New players enter that market. Take payment, where PayPal, Apple, and others come in. So you have to react, and you have to react quickly. And this is true for many, many other markets. Sometimes it will be tougher for new players because of the market entry barriers. So when you have a lot of complex technology, it might be more difficult. If it's only software, it's in tendency quite easy. So reinvent yourself. Become innovative. Understand that there's a need for rapid go-to-market, so don't miss opportunities. But that doesn't mean that you have to take every opportunity. Still think about, does it make sense or not? Continuous improvement. I don't believe in DevOps. I believe in DevSecOps. So development with security and operations with security in mind. I think currently a lot of things which are going on in the DevOps field are just ignoring the need for security. Done right, it will make you far more agile if you rely on standardized security services and well-thought-out services instead of security as an afterthought. But we need to improve continuously, but we shouldn't forget about security. And at the end of the day, what we are talking about is really business IT integration. Business IT alignment is dead, so to speak. No, I don't say that. It's past. It's not about business IT alignment, it's about integration, because all of the things will sell in the future, the connected things, mean IT is a part of it. So we can't say we have IT here and we have our other business here. It's something which has to fully merge. So we also will see new and changing roles in the organization. We should think about a chief business development officer, so the person driving innovation, go-to-market improvement. The role of the CIO will change. It might be sort of the CDBO, it might be also someone who is more managing the traditional business IT, so the underlying stuff, the traditional OT, or everything. The CISO, I think, is increasingly important, overseeing the full picture of security across all these areas, up to the products, the services, etc. we're selling in this transformed industries. We have product IT, which really has to become, as I've said, fully integrated with the business. Metrics organizations in that space, from my perspective, are a must. And the rest of IT has to become fully service-oriented, getting rid of silos. So there's definitely no room for IT silos in your IT organization anymore. It's not feasible. It might look like this. That's something we published, I think, 3 or 4 years ago as a paradigm for a future IT organization. There's some report out on that. So fundamental number 5, everything and everyone becomes connected. So you might know this picture. It's our computing troika, which we are showing for several years right now with cloud, social, mobile. Still relevant, all these areas. We are moving to the cloud. We have more and more types of users. We have the mobile stuff. But the things are getting more complex. And this is probably the picture you will see most frequently in KuppingerCole presentations over the next 12 months. So instead of the troika, this will be sort of my standard introduction picture. We have the people. They are related to organizations. They are related to devices and things. Devices and things are related. Devices might belong to an organization or to an individual. Things might communicate with organizations, provide information back. They might be owned by organizations. So it's a quite complex field of relationships we have here between the organizations, people, devices, and apps and services and organizations and the things. This is really what we have to understand and what we have to manage in future. So APIs will become quite important here between services at the back end, between the apps on the devices, and between whatever we call the software and the things, maybe the singlets, where all these things merge together. So this understanding this connection and what are the identities of these things, what are the relations, this is and securing the communication between them, managing the access is an extremely important thing for the future. So this is really the new ABC, the agile business connected. Then we have another very important aspect to think about when we talk about transformation, which is we're talking about OT and manufacturing environments, industrial control systems, all that stuff. On one hand, with specific requirements, and on the IT side, where we look at it from a different angle. And so there's increasingly sort of a discussion around security versus safety. From my perspective, it's not a dichotomy. So when we look at operational technology security, there's number 1, safety of humans and equipment. Yes, for a good reason. Reliability, doing the things always the same time, availability of technology. On the other hand, we have the IT security area, which is around confidentiality, integrity, availability of information. We might add some other requirements on both ends. But from my perspective, we can't say, okay, we can't do either the one or the other. We have to find ways where we do serve both types of requirements. So in this sort of brave new world of smart manufacturing, we have people which are using devices, which are accessing services, and they use their device and say, oh, I want to change the color of my car, which is just under production. And then manufacturing has to react. So we have some sort of control. And if you look at all the presentations around smart manufacturing, Industry 4.0, all of them are around, we have a quite direct impact on what is happening in the production line. So we're connecting these things, and this is something which is happening. So in most scenarios, there will be bidirectional communication. So if there's communication to the manufacturing environment, a systemer who can connect can potentially attack. So we have to merge these two views of security, OT and IT security, and things security in addition. So it's not about safety versus security, it's about safety and security. It's time to rethink OT, I think, from that perspective. So we have undergone a shift towards software-defined networking, software-defined storage, etc. relying on standard technology, which is easy to change, which is quite standardized, quite good to control. I think this is something where we have to start thinking in OT, which is probably quite a journey, but we have to do it because it's not about death by attackers versus death by patching, because systems are not reliable anymore. It's about avoiding both types of death. Security is a risk, fundamental number 7, and it's an opportunity. So we shouldn't look at security as something which is painful and costly, etc. So there are opportunities enabling agility and fostering innovation. If we have a good standard approach on security by design, privacy by design, we are more agile. We are faster in innovation. We enable the connected enterprise. If we understand how to manage all of these identities, we can implement all these business models. We can deal with our customers, consumers, new types of identities, etc. We can mitigate risks. So product security puts your business case, your reputation, and more at risk. So if product security fails, so not security puts it at risk, but a lag in product security. It helps in cost saving. Difficult argument, I know. But if you look at if you compare it to doing nothing, then there are a lot of arguments for saying I invest in security. It supports collaboration and communication. So how can we build trust? How can we work with people? How can we do a lot of things? All of this is around security. Clearly, there's the cost part. So in red, we have to invest to achieve compliance. It's a burden. We have to avoid breach notifications. But there are many opportunities in doing security right. And so it's not only a risk, it's not only a cost driver, it's also an opportunity. And finally, my fundamental number 8, identity in this changing landscape and this digital transformation is the clue, and access control is what we need. So I've had this picture of people and devices and things and organizations, complex relationships, a lot of people involved, very, very complex scenarios and ecosystems we are facing. And we have to understand who can access which information, how do these things cooperate, who owns what, who can use what, which is different from owning, etc., etc. So we understand the identities, and there will be a lot of talks around identity, relationship management, and the like here for a good reason. There are complex identity relations of the identity of things, the identity of a service, the identity of an app, of a device, whatever. We need to understand and handle it. Here I go back to something I've published probably some 6 months ago or so, which I call the 7 fundamentals for future identity and access management, which are, it's more than humans. It's about all types of identities. We will have multiple identity providers, not only one. So we will not manage all identities internally anymore. But we will need to trust, and this trust will vary. We'll have multiple attribute providers, providing different and additional information, helping us to verify things, etc. We have multiple identities. So many users will use different identities or personas and flexibly switch between these. And we need to understand it's still the same person. Just think about people using today the Facebook login. Tomorrow they might use something totally different. Most of the young people don't use Facebook anymore. So obviously, at some point, the login will change. Multiple authenticators. There's no single authenticator that works for all. Identity relationships. We must map humans to things, devices, and apps. Things I already touched. And context. Identity and access varies in context. There's no room for black and white identity management anymore. It's about understanding that in different contexts, different people will have different access. Something, by the way, I think Dave started talking about in the keynote, Dave Kearns from our teams, I think 7 years ago at EIC, when we started talking about the context. So these are my 8 fundamentals for mitigating the risk in digital transformation. And we will have a lot of discussions and sessions around these topics. We have a lot of research on that. That's it from my side for this opening keynote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin. This was a lot of stuff to digest. There's a whole tour d'horizon from Internet of Things, all the security, different activities. So a lot of things to discuss and to do.
Yeah, but I missed some topics. For instance, I didn't talk about big data, but I thought I can't squeeze everything in.
Well,
yes,
it's in there.
It's in there, yes.
It's in there. You can't do these security analytics and the reactive part without having big data analytics competence.
Yeah.
So
it's also about protecting access to big data. It's about deciding what you can unveil, what not, what to use when, and so on.
Yeah. So big data is on the plate everywhere in the security arena. That's true. I very much liked specifically your formulation, Stone Age bus systems. Can you explain that to me, what you mean by this?
Oh,
Stone Age bus system.
I think it would be ideally a question to my colleague Jörg Resch, but I tried to answer it correctly anyway. So if you look at many of the things in the traditional manufacturing environments, but also even in older approaches for smart homes, etc., you will find approaches for bus systems which are, I would say, are not 100% of this level of technology you could have today, to say it carefully.
So okay, industrial Ethernet, is this,
for instance, I think there are a lot of
Stone
things.
Age?
The KNX bus, for instance, I think is a quite good example.
Yeah, for home automation. Yeah,
yes,
indeed.
And you know, these are technologies which were, in fact, if you're honest, they were outdated when they were introduced.
Yeah. Another question, you said IT and OT need to come together, and you explain how the IT, say, delivery model must adopt to this new way of looking at things. But what does that mean for the IT department, for the people? Do you have any idea or any view on what's going to happen?
Yeah, you know, I think I touched some part, and I think clearly some part of IT has to move into the business organization. So if you have a product which has IT in, then you have to have it in the same organizational entity. And the rest of the IT has to become far more service-oriented, well-structured. So we had this future paradigm a while ago, and I think clearly segmenting it to a service organization with well-defined services where you also can switch between different delivery models, this is what we need to do.
Okay. Are there reports on this?
Oh, there's a lot of reports. I think we already have, in the first 4 months of this year, we published 49 reports, so in January to April, with some more following these days. I think today we had number 50. And we have, I think, overall more than 400 reports available currently from KuppingerCole, so quite a big number. And I would say a good reason for a subscription.
Okay, thank you very much, Martin.
Thank you.